Hi everyone, Bruce here at eTrailer. Today we're going to take a look at and install our Firestone Ride-Rite Extreme Duty Air Helper Springs on our 2024 Ram 2500. Have you ever loaded your truck up and noticed all of a sudden it's squatting because you got a heavy load in there? Well, these airbags will really help with that. These are extra heavy duty. They have a load leveling capacity of 7,500 pounds, and you can air them from 5 psi to 150 psi, so you should be able to go ahead and level your truck with any load you have. Now, normally when you get airbags, there is not a compressor with it. I actually strongly recommend doing a compressor if you're doing the airbags. And the reason I'm saying that is there are shrader valves for both airbags if you don't do an onboard compressor, and they would actually mount in this area here, or they'll mount on the screw points of your license plate here. Now, on this particular one, we did go ahead and mount it underneath the bumper as the neighbor requested. So if we get down a little bit and we can take a look at that shrader valve, and I'll explain more about it. Now, taking a look at the shrader valve here, it's got a little cap on it. This is actually how you're going to fill your airbags. Normally we would have 2 of these here, 1 per airbag, but since we installed an onboard compressor on this particular vehicle, we've only got 1 shrader valve in the back. Now what you do, you basically would take an air compressor, chuck, and just like a tire chuck, fill the one bag up to whatever PSI you need, and then you go to the next one and you fill up the other side. Now keep in mind, any style airbag that you actually are looking at, it is not going to increase the payload of your vehicle, so check the owner's manual for the correct specs on how much you can actually put in the bed of your truck or tow with your truck. Now with that being said, it is going to help you level that out, because anytime you do put a little bit of weight in here, you notice your truck squatting a little bit, and all this is going to do is help you level out and give you a smoother ride. And it will give you a safer ride because it's going to put that weight back on the front tires and make it easier to steer. As far as the installation of the airbags, it is actually pretty simple. If you want to tackle it at home, I'd say it's probably an easy install, to be honest with you. It's not that hard or difficult, but I do recommend that you pull the rear tires off to install the airbags. With that being said, if you don't want to tackle this at home, check out our dealer locator on etrailer.com. But if you do want to go ahead and tackle it, stick around, I'll show you how. To begin our installation, we are going to remove the rear tires, and I recommend you do the same. This is just going to make things a whole lot easier to get into, so let's get started. Now we need to go ahead and remove the factory jounce bumpers here. You're going to do the same thing on the passenger side as we're doing here, and that will continue through this whole process unless we note it otherwise. So just keep that in mind. Anything we do to one side, we're going to do to the other unless we note there is something different per side. Now we're going to go ahead and take our air fitting and we're going to build the left side airbag. So you're going to need the left side upper bracket, which is the 5826 number. And this is going to go on top, but we need this fitting to face the inside of our bracket. So we're going to go ahead and put this on first. Now that we do have our fitting on, and notice the direction I do have it pointed, it's kind of going towards the inside of this bracket. Now, don't tighten this down too tight because you won't get this bracket on. Let's go ahead and grab our upper bracket, and you'll see we've got to really kind of guide it around there and then put that down. Now we can go ahead and grab a couple of washers, put a couple of washers on there, and our nylock nuts. And we're going to go ahead and torque these down to the manufacturer's specifications. So if you don't have a torque wrench, you can get one here from eTrailer, or you can rent one from your local auto parts store. Now we can go ahead and grab our bottom bracket. The bottom brackets are exactly the same. They are both part number 5847. So we're going to grab that, and we're going to grab our little bolt here. And it's going to go here. Now keep in mind we don't want to completely tighten this up yet, so we're just going to finger tight. Now we need to go ahead and grab our frame bracket, which is 5836. They are both the same, but we do need to keep in mind here is, see this shorter distance from the end of the bracket to the first hole, how short that is? That will face towards the front of the vehicle, and the longer distance back here will face towards the rear of the vehicle. And this is just going to go right in place of the factory jounce bumpers and use the factory mounting holes. And we're using the longer screws for this, and they're actually a blue color. We need to go ahead and snug those down. And then we'll come back and torque them down to the manufacturer's specifications. Now that we do have our frame bracket mounted and we've got our airbag halfway assembled, we're going to go ahead and grab that whole unit, and we're going to go ahead and place it in its frame bracket. Now, putting this on, this is the driver's side, and the taller bracket will face the outside of the vehicle. Just going to push it down and slide it across. There we go. Get that lined up. Now we're going to take our 3/8" bolts, and we're going to run them from the inside to the outside. Now we're going to go ahead and grab our nylock nuts and go ahead and hand tighten those and put those on. Now we need to go ahead and grab our bracket strap and our carriage bolt and 2 more nylock nuts. Now this is going to go up underneath the axle. We're going to run this bolt down just like so. And this is going to go on the bottom of the axle. And we're going to go ahead and hand tighten these for now. The reason we left everything loose here is because we are basically mocking this up, because remember, we have not tightened up this plate yet because we didn't know which direction it's going to, the airbag will be at. So that's the whole reason about putting this on and test fitting it first. And then we've got to make a mark here where this plate is and then finish tightening up the bolt on the bottom of the airbag. So let's go ahead and take a marker and mark this. Now we can go ahead and remove the airbag and tighten up that bottom bolt. So the whole point of the line is the orientation of the bracket. If you notice how when I took it off it moved, and that's the whole point of mocking this up. Just hold it there where our lines are lined up. We'll grab our torque wrench and go ahead and torque that down. Now that you do have that bolt torqued down, just make sure your lines are still marked up, and we can go ahead and throw the airbag back on. Now that we do have these snugged up, we're going to go ahead and torque them down. And now we just need to do the bottom bracket. Now on this one, we're going to want to go evenly, so we're going to tighten a little bit and then go to the other side and tighten and keep doing that until we get them snugged up. And we're going to go ahead and torque our bottom bracket up. Now this does complete the airbag installation on the driver's side. Just remember, you've got to do the exact same thing on the passenger side. Once we get that done, we'll start running airlines. Now that you do have both the airbags mounted up, we do need to go ahead and, if you notice here, we lowered down our spare tire and we did take out a heat shield that is located up on this side. It's just 10 millimeter bolts that take it out. It basically goes up here, 10 millimeter bolts, undo those and remove the heat shield so we can run our airlines. Now our airlines are going to be a little different because we are installing an onboard compressor on this particular vehicle, which I highly recommend that you do. If you're going and looking at airbags, get an onboard compressor. It makes things a lot easier for yourself, so I do recommend that. Let's go ahead and get started. So normally what you would do is from each airbag, you would just have an airline running straight to the back, and you're gonna have a shrader valve like this one right here. You would actually have 2 of those shrader valves, and that's how you would fill each of the airbags. Since we do have an onboard compressor, we've only got 1 valve, and this valve runs back and comes around and goes to a T. From this T, we go to the other airbag, which is right here. This goes to our airbag here. This one runs to the other side. So it runs up through here, through this little piece here, and comes back over to another T, which this part will go to the airbag, and the other side will actually go to our onboard compressor. Now that we do have these ran, we do need to go ahead and blow them up to 70 PSI and test them for leaks. A couple things I want to mention when you're running the airlines and actually connecting them up. A tubing cutter is what you really need, or you can use a utility knife and just lay this down and cut across it with a sharp utility knife. Do not use scissors or anything else because it will actually smash the tubing and won't give you a clean cut like this does. It gives you a nice clean cut and it doesn't smash the tubing. Now, putting the tubing in the fittings, you're going to actually just push the tubing in, just like this. Push in till it stops, and then pull it out, and you notice it locks it up. Now, if you do have to get that back out, all you really have to do is this little silver piece here. You're going to push that in, push the tubing in, and pull it back out. Now that we do have the airlines all ran and connected, we do need to blow up the airbags to 70 PSI, and we're going to test for leaks. So let's go ahead and get our compressor and blow this up. Now we're going to grab a bottle of soapy water, and we're just going to squirt these down and check for leaks. Little bubbles are okay, but if it starts blowing big bubbles out, then you've got a leak. You're going to need to take the airline back off, recut it, and put it back in. Looks like we're good there. Now you're going to have to go to each fitting. We're going to got to get the ones on the top of the airbag as well. Those are a little bit harder to get to. Looks like we're good there. Now that you went ahead and tested the leaks and you didn't find anything, great job. This does complete our installation of our Firestone Ride-Rite Extreme Duty Helper Spring airbags on our 2024 Ram 2500. I'm Bruce. Thanks for watching.